Hey everyone, my name is Robin Wata.
And I'm Oni Finau, and welcome to the Extra Seasoned podcast.
And this is going to be our Beyonce episode. If you can't tell.
I know everyone's been waiting. I've been waiting.
This is the moment that people have been waiting for.
I'm so excited.
I just feel like everybody in my life knows how diehard of a Beyonce fan I am. And I knew when I was going to launch this podcast, I just wanted to do like episodes to explain myself to people or like share more details about myself. And this is such a big ass detail that I'm like, I have to do an episode.
Yeah.
And who better to have than Oni?
I feel so honored. When you messaged me on Instagram, I was like, oh my gosh, should I do it? Should I not do it? And everyone was like, you have to do it. Like, you're talking about
this
Beyonce.
Was our moment.
Yeah. And I was like, you're absolutely right. Let me get back to the message.
No, I'm dying because we've never met until today.
It's our first time meeting.
But we interact on social media. Like we have so many mutual friends and different things like that. And I don't know why I started following you. I think it was just because of like some Ivy Park photos you posted.
Okay.
I was just like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's like me.
Yeah.
Like I buy Ivy Park stuff because of Beyonce. And so I don't know. I think I initially just started following you because of that. And then we both ended up going to the Renaissance tour.
Yes.
And you went a lot more times than I did. How many times did you go?
I went 3 times. So I went twice in Vegas and then I went to Seattle.
And you were like Club Renaissance for all of those? I did
Club Renaissance for Vegas, and then I tried to get Club Renaissance for Seattle, but it was sold out. And so I just did floor.
Or you're like, I just did floor seats.
Yeah, I was like cut off by the tents, like doing all of the technical stuff, but I was like, I'm still here, like I don't care. So, and then I had 2 other friends that were not sitting with me, but we got our tickets at the same time.
No, I'm freaking dead because I remember like following you and you were saying that you weren't even working at the time when you bought those tickets.
Yeah.
And I was dying because I was like, damn, he's hella down.
No, so I got laid off in January, like the end of January, and the tickets went on sale in February.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I was like, how am I going to do this? And then I was just like, I'm doing it. I don't care. Like,
no,
filed for unemployment.
That is the type of Beyhive level that we are at. Like,
seriously,
even if unemployment was impacting our budget, the budget will still be budgeting.
Budget was there. The credit card was there.
I'm so freaking dead. But I just love Beyonce so much. I knew that you loved Beyonce so much. So I'm just really happy that you're here so we can talk about it together because we were just talking about this a little bit before we started filming, but there's so many layers to how much love you can have for the single individual.
Absolutely.
And I just think it's so interesting that when people ask me like, why do you love her so much? Why are you so obsessed with her? I don't know how to explain it. And I feel like we're going to take up this full hour of recording studio to kind of just dive into it. Just like
talk
together.
about it. Yeah.
But I honestly want to know, when do you feel like you transitioned from a Beyonce fan to a Beyonce stan?
That's such like a loaded question.
Yeah.
I feel like because
was there a moment or was it just like, were you always there?
I've always loved Beyonce. Like I remember watching her 2003 BET performance of Crazy in Love.
Yeah.
When like the huge marquee letters, and I think I was like 6 or 7 at the time, and I was just watching it, and at like that young age, I knew, I was like, you could recognize her greatness, and that's how you know, like, okay, this woman is powerful. Like she's a performer, she's an artist.
What year were you born?
97.
Okay, I was born 93. So I like remember watching like Say My Name and different things like that on like early morning MTV videos and different things like that. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Like I always loved Destiny's Child. And then obviously she went solo and like came out with Dangerously in Love, which was great. And I loved all of her singles. But I think like for me, becoming a stan started when I watched the I Am Yours DVD special.
Yes, yeah.
And it was for the I Am Sasha Fierce like performance. She did like this Las Vegas residency, and I watched this like little documentary of her performing like
at
these series of songs. At the Wynn Las Vegas. And I just remember from that moment, I was like, oh, I'm gonna ride or die for this bitch until the end of her days.
I feel the same. I feel like I Am Sasha Fierce was like, okay, Like, I love this music. I'm very into it.
What's funny is people hate that album.
I know. If I had to rank her albums, I would rank that, like, that would probably be the last on my list.
Yeah.
But that was also the time when I was like, okay, this is like, different. Like,
she's different.
Yeah.
She's built
and
different.
then I think the full transition was when 4 happened.
Yes.
And that's when I went like full-fledged, like, okay, I'm a stan. Like, I'm part of the Beyhive.
And if you don't know, 4 is her 4th album, her 4th studio album.
Her favorite number.
But like, yeah, I think for me, it was just watching that performance, and I just love seeing all the behind the scenes, because I think I resonate so much with her as a creative.
Yes.
That, I mean, like, yes, the vocals are there. Yes, the dance moves are there. Yes, the, like, just like the X factor is there. But for me, it's seeing her move as a creative where I'm just like,
absolutely,
damn.
Yeah.
Like, that is something that resonates with me so much. So any time that a documentary she releases or whatever, I'm like the first one on it, because I need to see that process.
I love seeing the creative process, and she rarely gives it to us.
Yeah.
It's very rare that we get to see like how she works and like how her mind works, and everything just gets put together.
Yeah. What's crazy is like, I feel like she puts her fans in like a drought.
The dehydration. Yeah.
We need to dehydrate.
Yes.
And it's such a funny thing, because I feel like when we're talking about Swifties or like other fan groups, they get so much from the stars that they stand. Like, you got the Barbs. Nikki is always giving them content.
Yeah.
And for us, it's like, we like cry if we get like an Instagram story.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like, oh my gosh, she posted on her story, and then it's like a sacred ad. And you're like, oh.
Do you remember that time when she woke everybody up to tell everybody she was going vegan?
Yes.
That announcement where she's just like, I have a special
on Good Morning America.
And I fucking woke up and I was like, what is it? And I think it's an album. It's whatever. And then I was like, she really just told us that she's not eating meat.
Yeah.
And I'm freaking sick of her.
Like, well, that's the one thing I'm not doing, Beyonce. I'm not going vegan with you.
Like, I'm so sorry. But that was the limit of my stanness for her. But I just think it's so cool to like find individuals like you, because it's hard for me to sound sane about how much I love this woman. But when I meet like other stans, you just get it. And I think you understand.
Immediately just click.
It's like, you're my people.
Yeah.
Regardless of political views, religious views, I was like, you're my people.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just think it's so funny, because so many people, I don't know, like, will typically like roll their eyes when they hear I'm a Beyonce fan. But I just feel like it's my life's mission to be like, I don't understand how you don't understand why she's great.
What do you not get?
Yeah.
How are you not getting it?
And like, again, like, since like I Am Sasha Fierce, I feel like that was when I kind of transitioned into a stan itself.
Yeah.
And then obviously like 4, and then you have the self-titled album. What's freaking crack up is that I was serving my LDS mission when the self-titled album came out.
Did you listen to it?
No, yeah. I'm like, okay, I mean, don't ask me questions like that. What's funny is I just went on a trip to Sydney, Australia, and I met up with some of my mission friends out there.
Okay.
And we were talking about like the worst thing that we did on like our LDS missions.
Yeah.
And I told them it was watching the video clips from the self-titled album. And I was like, if this is the worst thing I do, I think I'm fine. And I don't give a shit, because I know people on my mission who are doing way worse things.
Yeah.
But I just remember like when it dropped and it like broke the internet. And I just felt like I missed out on that wave, because I was like doing the Lord's work, you know?
Yeah.
I just love that album. And so when I came home and like really got to like dive into it and really started to like dive into like the visuals and everything of it, I was like, damn, I like really missed out on like this pinnacle moment.
Yeah.
But then we get into like her later work. Like, we're talking Lemonade. We're talking Renaissance. We're talking Cowboy Carter.
It's just, it gets better and better. Like, when I heard self-titled, I was like, okay, this is so different from her. Like, she's letting us actually into her life and like giving us a look into like personal experiences.
Yeah. And because we didn't get
we
that
never
for a
got
long
that
time.
before. Yeah. And then I was like, there's no way she's going to outdo this. And then Lemonade came and the film, and I was in disbelief. I was like, I cannot believe this.
I just remember like seeing Self-Titled and being like, how are you going to top this? You came out with this visual album. And I'm like, how are you going to make this better?
Yeah.
And then I remember when there was like an announcement that she had like an HBO special. And so I was with a friend and I convinced him, I was like, hey, like we need to watch this HBO special. I don't know what it is. It's rumored to be an album, but we sat there, we watched it. We were like, it's an album.
Yeah.
And then we literally watched the whole thing. And right after we were done, we were talking about it and we were like, we need to go back and like rewatch it. We watched it 2 times in a row and we just like couldn't get enough about it.
There's just so many layers.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And then she performed at the Super Bowl and performed Formation. And I just remember how many feathers it ruffled when she did that. And I doubled down as a stand for Beyonce because people were trying to cancel her. People were trying to boycott her.
The boycott Beyonce merch, her best merch. Bring it back.
Yeah. She had boycott Beyonce merch that she was selling from her like Beyonce store. And I just was cracking up because I was like, she is that girl.
Yeah, she's that girl. She doesn't care and she's going to do what she's going to do.
And I loved that people were trying to like, they were trying to boycott her and then like they didn't show up to their own little riot whatever they were trying to do. And I just think like it doesn't get more iconic than that. It's just funny. And like I just love how petty she is. Like that's a true Virgo at heart.
Yeah. And she like puts it into her music and her art and she lets them know and then she moves on. That's it. She like does her one thing and then she's like, okay, they know.
No, I freaking love this. And so I am just like curious, do you have a favorite album? And why?
I feel like it changes constantly.
Okay, that's like me. People are always
changing.
Like, oh, can you pick like your favorite Beyonce song? And I'm like, no.
And I really can't. Like I literally cannot choose and it's really impossible.
Like I feel like there's a lot that I keep in rotation for whatever reason. Like it resonates with me or it's like my mood just aligns with it or whatever. But a favorite? I don't know.
No, I can't. But like as of right now, Renaissance is still just on repeat for me. Like the replay value on that album is astronomical.
Yeah. And it's funny because now that Cowboy Carter is out, like I still feel like I listen to Renaissance more than I do Cowboy Carter.
Yeah, same.
But okay, this is going to make me jump to a different question because are you on TikTok?
Yes, I don't post, but I am on TikTok. Yeah.
Have you seen like that TikTok trend where people have to rate the like 10 Beyonce albums and put them in order of how they would rank it? So I did it and I ruffled a lot of feathers with my with my ranking because I was like kind of serious, but not super serious. But I ranked it with Lemonade being my number 1.
Okay.
And then I put Cowboy Carter at number 2. And I put Renaissance at number 3 because of All Up in Your Mind.
Okay. Not an All Up in Your Mind stan. Which I wasn't either. I did not enjoy All Up in Your Mind until she started performing it. And then I was like, wait, maybe I do like this song.
So the thing is, it was funny because I posted it on TikTok and people were like, you're such like a TikTok fan. How could you not like that song? And I'm like half kidding. I love the production of it, but lyrically it's a weak song.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
Like when I first had my first run through of Renaissance, that song came out and I was just like, okay. I was just like, yeah. I'm not gonna skip, but I'm thinking about it.
I'm like, I'll listen to the whole thing.
Yeah.
But like
yes. That's the other thing about that album. Some of my friends, when they first listened, they were like, I don't like it. Like I was jumping around and like, and I was like, you can't, I was like, no, you need to go back because it's one cohesive song. Like they all just melt right into the next song.
The transitions in that album alone are life-changing.
Yeah.
And I think what's crazy is like, there's so many people who had that experience with Renaissance because it was a dance, like electronic album.
Right.
And it was interesting hearing for people that it was a slow burn for them, where it was like they had to listen to it like multiple times before. And I was like, no, I got that shit right away.
I knew immediately.
I was like, I got the references. I got
all of it.
I got what she was trying to do.
Yes.
And I think it's even funnier because now that we have Cowboy Carter, there's just so many things that we've learned about this era, like that it was supposed to come out before Renaissance.
Cowboy
Carter was supposed to be Act 1. And she just felt like her fans needed to dance. We were just coming out of a pandemic. And she was just like, we don't need Cowboy Carter right now. Let's put this to the side.
And I honestly think that if she would have come back with Cowboy Carter, I would have had a much different... I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much.
Yeah. I honestly feel like Renaissance is what pulled everybody into this 3-act... I don't know, what do we want to call it? This 3-act era.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's so cool. Kind of like, again, her creative process, like she does care about us.
Right. She
does.
Sees us.
Yeah. And I just love that secretly she's like paying attention to what people are talking about online. Like there's always like these little things that she does
little
on
hints
social
that it's
media.
Like, okay.
You're like, okay, you heard us. Yeah. You saw that Twitter post.
Yeah.
You saw that.
We were dragging you, but you saw and you corrected it.
But that's the thing. I feel like as stans, we're allowed to drag her. It's like a family business type thing where it's like, you can, like, I can talk shit about my sister. You don't get to talk shit about my sister.
Exactly.
You know? And so, I don't know. It's so funny when I see the Beyhive go in on her because I agree with them 100%. Like, all the time.
Everyone just gets it. Everyone knows what we're going through.
And like, are you in that Facebook Beyhive group?
I am, yes.
Okay, I'm in that. And I always it's like so funny seeing so many different people coming together on like a random ass group and sharing their thoughts about Beyonce videos, like highlighting like some of their favorite moments. And I feel like I just thrive in forums like that because I'm like, again, these are my people.
Just get it. Right.
Yeah. But I'm just curious, like, do you have an unpopular opinion about Beyonce? Like a hill that you would die on in regards to an unpopular opinion?
I feel like I'm such a Love Drought stan, and I will die on that hill forever. And people are like, ew, Love Drought. No.
I love Love Drought.
Yeah.
And I know that people were saying that it was such a boring song on Lemonade, but I was just like, it was such a needed song.
Yes.
Though. It was like essential.
Pulled us there.
Yeah. Because Lemonade there were so many emotional layers to it. Like, obviously, she was going in a route that was celebrating like the Black community, but diving deeper into like love and heartbreak. Yeah. Jay-Z cheating on her, like all these different things and nuances. And I was like, each one of those songs, it was like the perfect journey of healing. Yeah. And I felt like Love Drought was like the first song that kind of like takes us there. Yes. And so I don't disagree with you. I feel like Love Drought is slept on heavily.
And I feel like another one is I just wish like she interacted more, not in the way that like Nicki Minaj does, like where she's on Twitter and like arguing with her fans. Yeah. Like, but just like gave us a little bit more because I feel like it's just so needed to keep that connection. But at the same time, we're always going to be here. And I think that part of the longevity of her career is because she has been so private her whole entire career. Like we don't know a ton about her personal life and like what goes on.
But I love like that mysteriousness of it.
Yes.
Like it makes it fun. Yeah. It makes it fun for us because I'm like, we don't know everything. So it's like every crumb that we get, we're like, yes, this is amazing.
Eating it up. Yeah.
Except for that time that she went vegan.
That was the one we didn't care for and still don't care for.
like even like Black is King, like when she made that compilation album, those visuals are slept on.
I can't. Yeah. People don't even know about it either. And I'm like, how?
Like that and Homecoming, I'm like, it stays on rotation in my house during Black History Month and my kids watch it and they freaking love it. And I'm like, I just want other people to educate their kids the way I'm trying to educate my kids.
And that's why I'm dying for the Renaissance film because I'm like, there's people waiting, Beyonce, to see this greatness.
Yeah,
like,
who didn't get to go to your concert.
They didn't get to see it. They didn't go to the concert.
Have the bravery to swipe their credit card like Oni did.
They need to see the movie. If you're watching this, Beyonce, drop it now. And the visuals.
Period. You heard what he said. But I just think my unpopular opinion is just like, I would just say like the timing of how she releases. So again, just in regards to like the visuals in general, that is like something that is peeving me because I remember when Renaissance came out, she kind of just showed like these snippets of her in like all these different outfits, and everybody was like, "Oh shit,
God,
we're getting visuals," and I don't.
Let's see. 2 years later, still.
But the thing is like I feel like she's playing a long game. So I'm just so curious. Like when she does release the visuals, I know she's probably going to talk about it.
Yeah.
But I feel like she's playing the long game in the sense of we want the visuals because we want her albums to find success right now. Like we want it to chart and stay there. But I'm like, how iconic would it be is if she like releases part 3 and then, or like act 3, and then she releases all the visuals and then all 3 albums chart.
Just boom, 1,
just like,
2, 3.
Yeah, because it's like you're gonna listen to all of them. And I'm curious like what your theory is about like specifically her visuals. Like, do you think they're all separate things, or do you feel like it's one thing and like we're kind of gonna get glimpses of each song versus like full version like visuals?
There's been so many theories that I've seen online.
Yeah.
But I would love to see it as like one whole movie.
Yeah.
And like just different like universes, like a multiverse, and like each album is one of the multiverses.
Yeah, that would be so cool. But would it make you sad? Like when you say movie, are you thinking like it's going to be like a 2-hour movie? So because Renaissance is like an hour. It's so long.
Right. I would say, I would want it to be like, I feel like people would actually sit down and listen to that. Or even if she just puts Renaissance and Cowboy Carter in like its own visual and then has something for act 3. But I just know it's gonna eat so good.
I am so excited,
especially because Natalie Lee Cohen did them. And her every time I see her work, I'm just gagged.
Yeah. And literally, like as we're waiting for these visuals, all we've gotten so far are an introduction to the U.S. Olympic team.
Yaya stands, rise up.
That's what we got, and we got Sacred promo.
Yeah.
Her hairline.
She said, go buy my conditioner, it's dropping.
She said, fix your edges before I come out with another act.
And I did. I bought it immediately, right when I saw it.
Did you like it?
I love it.
I was trying to convince my wife to buy it just because that's the type of fan that I am. I'm like, I need to justify this.
Right.
But she didn't want to spend that much money on it, which that's fair.
And that's fine.
But how did you like it?
I love it. Just because I think like the mask that she dropped the conditioning mask, it's like actually a mask. It was good, but that's not like something I can use like consistently with washing my hair with the shampoo. So now that I have it, I feel like it's really just brought it together, brought it home.
That. And so just kind of going into it, I am just really curious about what you think like your least favorite Beyonce song is. Do you have a least favorite?
My least favorite, let's see.
I feel like that changes for me too.
I am not a Ring Off fan.
Really?
Yeah.
I love Ring Off.
See, I just...
Okay, get out.
Okay.
Like, and this is where we draw the line.
I don't know why. I just... That and the Blow remix, like, I feel like Pharrell's part just...
I'm liked it.
Such a Blow stan. Like, I love that song. And then when she dropped the remix, I was like, I don't know. And then I feel like, what are other ones? Like you said, it changes.
Yeah. And
but there's never ever a song that I'm like, I can't listen to this at all.
Yeah, I feel like there's so many songs that, again, just aren't necessarily my favorite.
Yeah.
But kind of just going back to an unpopular opinion, when I was ranking those albums on TikTok, they threw in her album with Jay-Z, the why is it like escaping my mind? What was the album that they made together? The rap album.
Everything is Love.
Okay, I was gonna say, I was like, I don't know why I couldn't think of that, but they included that and the Lion King album. Mm-hmm. And I remember like I didn't like really include them in the ranking because they weren't like solo Beyonce albums. So I kind of was just judging it out of like the eight studio albums that were there. But I put Dangerously in Love at number 8. I put Sasha Fierce above it. And people were upset about that. But for me, I think it was because that's like when I became a stan, was like the Sasha Fierce era. And it made sense to me more as like an album. Like I felt like Dangerously in Love had like group singles. Like they were just different vibes for different songs, which is fine. Yeah. But I feel like as far as like storytelling, it was like easier to follow along for I Am Sasha Fierce, and people were sick of me on TikTok because
they're like, no. Yeah, I don't know what it is with people not loving that album.
Yeah.
I think it's just because
it's pop.
Yeah, it's pop. There's a lot of pop. It was very like the general public loved it.
Yeah.
And people are just
I think it's funny because when we say that like people are stans, like it's funny because I immediately judge them based on the song that they ask me is like, they're like, oh, this is my favorite song. Do you know this song? And I feel like all the white people are always going to say Halo.
Yeah.
And they're going to say like Crazy in Love.
Or whatever. Yes. Especially the I Am Sasha Fierce album. I feel like it very much was like catered to that demographic.
Yeah. And I think that's what was kind of like annoying for a lot of people is that, but I mean, like we had Diva.
I know.
And I'm like, Diva was on there. We had...
That was on the Sasha Fierce side, though.
It was on the Sasha Fierce side.
The good side.
But yeah, I mean, like, there were just so many good songs on that album. And so I think that was probably... Technically, that might be my unpopular opinion, is that I thought it was better than Dangerously in Love.
And that's... Yeah.
Not necessarily
like
vocally.
It's not even...
Vocally, like I thought that she was, like, better in Dangerously in Love because she gave herself songs to sing and, like, belt. And you get Dangerously in Love, part 1 and part 2. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, these are amazing. But I just feel like I Am Sasha Fierce was just like an album that resonated with me. Like having like these two sides that are like very different.
Yeah.
Like I felt like when that album came out, I was still in high school. And I was like, I don't know. I felt like I was not like a popular kid, but I wasn't like a loser either.
Yeah.
Like I had like lots of different friend groups and different things like that. But like for me, I was like the good little Mormon boy, but at the same time, I'm like, don't fuck with me.
You're like, yeah, exactly.
And I felt like it resonated with me in that aspect. And like seeing the songs like Diva and then seeing the songs like Video Phone. Oh.
Wow. Where's part 2?
Yeah, there was like that telephone series, like Telephone with Lady Gaga was like during that era, and then Video Phone came out, and I was like, okay, this is dope. But again, like my love for Beyonce just comes down to like the creativity of of it all. It's just everything that I see her put into her work. I'm always just like, why did you do that? And then we get like that little crumb that she gives us of like why she did X, Y, and Z, and I'm always like, okay, I'm on board. I get it.
And no detail is left. Like, nothing's forgotten about. Yeah. She goes down to every little thing.
And that kind of reminds me of when Renaissance was dropping and Break My Soul was the first single. Song. And I remember listening to it and I was just like, I like it. I don't love it.
Yeah.
And for me, I didn't even question it because I was like, okay, we're getting a dance album. Mother knows what she's doing.
Yeah. Like she'll do her homework.
Yeah. Like obviously like she's going to go in this dance electronic, I don't know, like era. Mm-hmm. And I was just ready to get on board. And then I remember when the album came out, and I'm actually curious, how do you listen to albums? Like, do you...
So when they first come out, I have to listen like start to finish. Okay. I can't skip around just because I feel like it's intentional. Like when artists make albums, it's intentional and put in that order for a reason. So I can't skip around. I just have to do it. And then in terms of like, what am I doing? I literally like block everything out. I schedule like, okay, nobody, D&D.
Like, do not disturb.
Yeah. When Beyonce drops, D&D for like 2 weeks. I'm digesting.
I'm the same way. I like just need to listen to it from beginning to end. I don't even like really take notes. I know you take notes.
Yes, like, I do. Listening,
you like posted them. And I just think that's so dope. But for me, it's kind of like the same thing. I just listen to it all the way through. And then I go back through it like a second time. And that's when I start kind of like listening to a lot of things lyrically.
Yes.
Because I feel like I don't catch all of the lyrics the first time.
Hear all the harmonies and like all the instruments.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only person who does that. No. I feel like Beyonce makes music for music lovers.
Yes, absolutely.
And I tried to explain this to someone about kind of just like fan bases where I'm like, I'm going to bring up Taylor Swift because I feel like she's like our nemesis, but like not.
She's not? Like, The Swifties, like, they have the numbers.
Yeah.
But like everything else, I'm sorry. You can put the Renaissance movie and the Eras Tour movie right next to each other on a screen. No. But I already know Renaissance is eating up that. Whatever that
is. No, what's funny is like, I know obviously we probably have like a shit ton of people who are Swifties in our lives. And I love that they love her. But for me, when I try to explain about fan bases is I feel like people who are Swifties love Taylor Swift. People who are Beyhive love music. Mm-hmm. Like we don't just love Beyonce. We love good music in general.
Yeah.
And I like that is like what sticks out to me is like when I find somebody who's like Beyhive AF, the first thing that I realize is they love lyrics. Mm-hmm. They love harmonies. They love
everything. Yeah, it's literally just like she paints with production, with vocals, with instruments, like, and then it puts it all together into like a huge mosaic that's just stunning.
Yeah. And I feel like when I listen to her albums, like I love going back to older albums and listening to them all the way through because I'm just like, wow, what a time.
Yeah.
Like I remember this time.
I just recently did that. I was like, okay, I'm just going to choose one album, like one Beyonce album a day and just like listen to it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, the growth.
Yeah.
Like she was always great, but just like the storytelling, like going from Dangerously in Love, and then we have like Self-Titled, which is a story, and then ever since then, every album has been a story.
I really feel like Self-Titled was that album that walked so these later albums could run.
Yeah.
And I know like Self-Titled is just goated because it kind of just changed the music industry.
Changed the game with that digital drop. Know where you was when that digital popped.
I was on a mission.
Except for Robin.
I was stranded in the Philippines. But I'm like crying because I just feel like every time we get a new album, I kind of just measure like at what point in my life was I at this point, you know, where I'm just like, okay, when Everything Is Love dropped, I was like, I know exactly where I was. I remember exactly what I wanted to put out in the world after that. And as a creative, again, like, just seeing all the things that she does, like, I feel like it pushes me creatively to do things like this podcast is kind of a manifestation of that. Because I was just like, Beyonce just be doing random shit all the time. And she's amazing at all of them. And I'm like, I love that she's multi-passionate. I love that, like, music, of course, is like her bread and butter. But I love that she's passionate about other things like Ivy Park, her Be Good Foundation, her hair care line.
There's
like
so many things.
I just love that there's so many different things, but it's never taken away from her music.
Yeah.
And for me, I just resonate with that a lot in the sense that I can be a multi-passionate person. Like I don't just have to be a fashion stylist. I can launch a freaking podcast.
You can do
maybe I'll write a damn book. I don't know.
Yeah. Whatever one you want to do, you can do.
There was this clip that I saw on TikTok. I can't remember who it was. I think it was like a football player. And they were asking about somebody who's like inspired him. And he said it was Beyonce. Do you remember? Do you know this clip that I'm talking about? And his friends kind of like laughed at him. But he explained like, I went to one of her concerts and like I left a changed person.
Yeah. The work ethic, it needs to just level up.
And that's what he says. He was like, I left that concert and I said, I need to be as good as Beyonce is at singing and dancing. And I was like, that's how I feel. I'm like, I need to be goated in my one thing. You know what I mean? I mean, like, it doesn't mean that I can't do multiple things. Right. But I want to be the best of the best. And I think when I think about Beyonce and all the work that she does and all the hate she gets, I think that like reminds me is like, you can still be the best of the best and people will still try to drag you on a daily basis. Yeah. And like, you can be the most non-problematic person. Top. Yeah. And people will still find things to talk about. And I'm like, I just don't know how she does it. I don't know how you like set aside all the negativity because let's be real. Like, even if she doesn't even do TV interviews anymore, like people will put words in her mouth. Yeah. People will make up stories.
There's tabloid headlines. Like
people talked about her kids. Like I remember when they were dragging Blue Ivy, like when she was born because of her facial features and her hair. And I was like, y'all need help. Like the world.
Yeah. Like that is someone's child.
Yeah. And I just like don't know how she compartmentalizes that. You know what I mean? But the fact that she even manages a way to do that is something I applaud, because I don't think a lot of people can do that.
And I think that's like part of her, like, just being so private too.
Yeah.
Like all of that stuff.
And maybe that's like what helps is like she needs like, she doesn't want to have a mental break in public or in public spaces. Like I feel like I would need to do that. She doesn't want
a Britney moment.
Like I don't know. Like, I just feel like her emotional intelligence is like really high as well.
Yeah.
And so when I see her, I remember she did her Vogue interview. It was like a September issue. Do you remember this? It was with Ty Mitchell and he had photographed her.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
But I love that she like hand selects like who specifically is going to
taking the pictures.
Yeah, who's taking pictures of her, who is interviewing her. Like she is very selective now.
Yeah.
Because she's like, I'm not even gonna waste my time. I am gonna like surround myself with people who want to embrace me, who understand the work that I'm trying to do. And I love that because I'm a very picky person too.
Yeah, I feel like Beyonce's at that point in her career where she's no longer doing things for herself. She's doing it to uplift those who are coming after her. Like I feel that a lot with Cowboy Carter, like all the artists that she had featured.
Shabuzi and his album.
And he skyrocketed like right after that. And I was just like, wow, this is what true artistry is about, is paving the way and then like opening that door to ensure the artists or people coming after you can succeed.
No, I love that. And what's crazy is like, people don't see that though. Like people don't see the doors that she's opening for other people. But I also think about like Renaissance and how much that resonated with people in the LGBTQ community. And I was like, we're talking about ballroom culture. We're talking about Black ballroom culture. Like she's pulling out
all of it.
Yeah. She's pulling out all these gems that have gone unnoticed or have not gotten their flowers. And it's just cool. Like, and then we get into like this Cowboy Carter era, and then we see Shabuzi, we see these other Black artists who are trying to make it in the country scene, and it just blows my mind. And so I think like, again, just seeing her as a creative, I'm like, that's kind of the work that I need to do. I made it kind of like a goal to interview as many Pacific Islanders as I can. And I'm just glad that you could be here so we could talk our shit about Beyonce.
Yes.
But kind of just going back to the music of it all. I'm just curious, like, what do you think we're going to get for Act 3?
I think it's going to be a rock album.
That's what I think too.
And I think it's because there was moments where I heard so much inspiration from Prince in Cowboy Carter.
Yeah.
That I'm like, okay, this is slowly going to lead into the rock era and we're going to get it. And like her vocals on Cowboy Carter, very much giving rock too.
Yeah. Like it was giving like Fleetwood Mac, like kind of like that transition from folk and rock.
And I think she'll pay homage to Tina Turner.
Yeah.
Her like biggest icon. And I'm excited.
So what's crazy is, for those of you guys who don't know, like this era that we're in, she has 3 acts. So we've had Renaissance and Cowboy Carter. And I think a lot of people may be confused as to why she's going into these genres, specifically like going into like a dance electronic album. And then now we have country, and now we're guessing that we're going to get rap. But for those who don't know, we believe that Beyonce is going into music genres that haven't embraced the Black community, but originated from Black community. And so I just think it's so cool to see like what she's doing, how she's giving people their flowers, like the Break My Soul remix, when she's just listing all these women. And I was just like, this is so dope. And so I think like if she did release like a rock album, who do you think a feature would be? Is that something that you've thought about?
Hard. I don't know, honestly.
I know, I'm like,
I like low-key would love to see like a Paramore feature.
Haley Williams is a huge Beyonce stan.
Yeah. Like that song, insane. Straying away from like just rock, I need an Adele Beyonce collab stat.
Yeah, just a single.
The world would literally implode. Like, I don't know. There's so many features that I would love to see. I would love to see Rihanna and
But what's
Beyonce.
interesting is like, even with this country album, it wasn't like 100% country all the way through. Like,
yeah, it was her version of country. Yeah.
But like, even like Spaghetti was in there with Shabuzi, and she was spinning. She was like dropping bars.
Beyonce is a rapper. If you don't know, Mother can rap down.
We need to talk about this because, so this is funny. I'm going to bring it up. But at my work right now, we have like a question of the day. And they just post it, and anybody from the company is allowed to answer these questions. And it's optional. It's not required. But for whatever reason, somebody posted a question about Beyonce, and there was just so much hate of like, of course.
Always.
Like, whatever. And so I jumped in, and I was like, absolutely the fuck not.
You're like, hell no.
Yeah. I'm like, pump the brakes.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't know, the aura of the situation kind of just shifted because people were like,
everyone's like,
oh, this bitch is serious.
Yeah. We really went there and shit.
But somebody was arguing because in our company building, all of our rooms are based off of like something specific. And so it'll have like a genre. And so one of the floors, like the genre is like national park. So like the rooms were named after like different national parks. And then they were trying to do one with the floor where they named rooms after rappers. And somebody had nominated the name Beyonce. And somebody in this thread at my work was like, Beyonce's not a rapper. And I was like,
that's
what
crazy because
I was like, weird because
yeah.
I was like, she had a whole ass rap album with her husband.
Yeah.
But I seriously was just so dumbfounded where I'm like, Beyonce's not a rapper. And then they took a screenshot of like her Wikipedia and it said that she was like a singer-songwriter. And I was like, no, that's what she's known for. That doesn't mean she's not a rapper.
I didn't know Wikipedia was
I didn't
word.
know.
Like,
But like for me, I kind of took it back where it's like, okay, but Drake started out as an actor. He's now a rapper. That doesn't make him no longer an actor. Ariana Grande, like she's a singer, but she started as an actress and now she's going to be in Wicked.
Yeah.
So now that she's in a big, huge blockbuster movie, does that make her any less of a singer?
Same with Rihanna. She was a singer. Now she's a businesswoman.
And now she's handing people makeup brushes.
Yeah. And a great businesswoman at that. Like she knows what she's doing.
But like drop the album.
R9, we're waiting.
What's funny is like, okay, here's another question I have because I feel like a lot of Beyonce fans are also fans of Rihanna. And so Rihanna's fan base is called the Navy.
The Navy, yeah.
Do you feel like it's possible for an individual to be part of multiple stan groups? Like, do you think that's kosher in stan culture nowadays?
I think you could. But me personally, like when I think of the word like stan, I think of like you are just like die hard for that one person. Like anything they release, you're on it. You're following them. You're trying to keep up on all of like the latest news on them. And I feel like that's hard to do with like multiple. I feel like one is always going to rank over another. But if you like on Twitter, a lot of people are like multiple stands of like different people.
And I'm like, get help.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, it's not working here. This is not your community.
Yeah, I'm like, you're not making the cut. Yeah. But it's funny because I bring this up because I know so many people who will be like, oh, like I'm a big Swiftie fan and then I'm a big like Beyhive fan. And I always say, I'm like, I don't know how you could be both. Like, because like you said, like the term stan, it means like you are the first one to be up. Like you're notified when a post is like made on Instagram. You're the first one to see an Instagram story. What cracks me up about being a Beyonce stan is, I don't know if this happens to you, but do you have like hella people who would just send you stuff and be like, hey, have you seen this? I'm like, yeah, 2 years ago.
Yes. They're like, I thought of you when I saw this. And I'm like, you're the 12th person that sent me this, but thank you for thinking of me.
They're like, this is such a funny clip. I'm like, thanks. I've had that archived and saved.
Yeah, it's bookmarked. It's already, it's here, saved to my phone.
You're a little late.
Yeah.
But people do that to me all the time. Like they'll send me like a meme or something. I'm like, yes, I made it.
Yeah. And that's not to say that I don't love it because I love the thought. I appreciate it. And I love that people think of me when they see Beyonce.
Don't think that we didn't already see it.
Yeah.
Because we saw it. Not only did we see it.
Just don't ask that. Did we see it? Because yes, I saw it.
But that's what a stan is. We see everything.
And like right when it's posted too.
And so, I mean, like diving into some of the stan culture, like with all the various projects that Beyonce's done, all of, like the business avenues that she's ventured out to, like, how did you feel about Ivy Park? Was that like something that you were stoked about?
I was obsessed with Ivy Park.
I freaking love Ivy Park.
Like when she had her collaboration with Topshop, it didn't include like plus sizes. Yeah. And so I never got to wear
Topshop for that.
I've always been a big girl. Like
I'm like, the Poly Beyhive fans need.
I could go and like look at the bags or the headbands or whatever, but the clothing,
like
no.
The accessories, like the socks, like even the socks are 10. Like they were
I'm a 13,
barely 10.
Like it's barely, you're right there, like a size 10, no. So when she did Adidas Ivy Park and it was like all inclusive,
that was like the smartest move.
Yeah,
to
incredible.
Work with Adidas.
And the amount of money I just spent, like, because I was like, I'm scared it's going to sell out. Like, I just need to get everything I can. So I was obsessed with Ivy Park. It was incredible. I have sold a lot because like a lot of it I just wasn't wearing. And so I was like, okay.
No, I knew that you were hella diehard when I went through your Instagram and you had bought the, it was like the fur coat, the faux fur coat.
Yes.
And I was like, that thing was like $400.
I ended up selling it because I never wore it. So I had to be like, everyone was like, you're insane. And I'm like, well, you never know. Like,
yeah.
So
yeah, where is Ivy Park? What is going on with that?
I want it to come back as a solo brand again.
I do too, but I mean, like, since that partnership ended with Adidas, I'm like, okay, but like,
what's going on?
Where are we at?
Yeah. That leads me, Ivy Park leads me back into what we think Act 3 is going to be, because I feel like she released the black leather and that was all like very rock inspired.
The motor jacket.
Yeah. And like the ads were very punk rock and like all the leather and the material. And then when she released Renaissance, she had like all of the silver and all of that stuff. So I'm like, that could have been like a hint to what Act 3 could be.
Like where you're going with this. Like where
So we'll see. She's like, I need them to be dressed and ready.
Yeah. I just love the gems, like the little hints that she's giving us. Like there's so many things that we're Easter just like eggs. Unaware of. Even with like Homecoming. Do you remember, like, did you hear like that countdown that she did? And I think it was like the Homecoming where it's like on the visuals and she's like doing a countdown.
Oh, yes.
But then the numbers
everyone's
are different.
Like, oh, she's reading us a date. Like she's giving us a
like,
date.
It's a date. It's how many seconds we have until this.
Coming like May 6th, 2025. And we're like, okay. But that's like part of the delusion of being a stan. Like it's fun to be like,
the Swifties do that too. And I think it's so funny where it's like just like this little detail in a music video and they're just like, oh my gosh, she's engaged. Oh my gosh, it's a pregnancy announcement.
Yes. We're like, everyone else is just like, you're unwell. Like,
but overall, I just think that like having you on here just to kind of express just like the tip of the iceberg of why we stand this woman so hard. Like we've talked about her music, her businesses, her creativity. Like there's just so many things about her that make her that girl. And I don't know. I just feel like people are missing out. I'm like, this is the greatest entertainer of all time. I said all time.
And we mean it. All time. Living or dead.
All caps. Not an asterisk. Not.
All time. Living or dead.
And people, is this an unpopular opinion? I feel like people are going to come at us.
People will.
But I don't give a shit.
I don't give a shit. I don't care. The Michael Jackson stands, I don't give a shit. Okay? And that's how I feel.
The thing is Michael Jackson was a Beyonce fan.
Exactly.
Prince was a Beyonce fan.
A lot of Beyonce's influence comes from Prince and Michael Jackson.
What's crazy is like she really is your favorite artist's favorite artist.
She's the celebrity to celebrities. Have you seen her guest list for her tours? It's giving award show, bigger than award show.
Dope. That's like what blows my mind. I remember I went to the Formation World Tour and we got floor seats. I'm like, why am I standing like a couple rows behind a Kardashian? Why is Justin Bieber over here?
No, it's crazy. Yeah, when I went to the On the Run 2 tour in Pasadena.
Oh my gosh, I wish I went to that tour. I
so
was
she
did.
Club Carter was like the name of the VIP section, and it was like super small in between two runways, but there was so much room to move around. And that's where I met Normani I met Kim, Chloe, and Courtney. I literally ran into Kim's boobs. Like, she was so short. She was probably like right here to me when I'm standing up. And I like looked up and I was like, oh my God, Kim. She was like, hi.
She's like, do I know you?
Casually walking around. And I'm like, no, but I know you, girl. So it's just crazy. Like, all of the things that happen at Beyonce concerts.
Do you think, I don't know why I just thought about this, but with like, obviously like Taylor Swift brings like a huge celebrity fan base as well. But I mean, like, what if she brought on Taylor Swift for a song? Would you be up for that? Or would you want an Adele collab more?
I would want an Adele collab more just because
vocally
and like sonically and like all of that.
Yeah.
It's more what I like.
Yeah. Do you want them to dance though? Or do you want them to like have you dancing, or do you want them to have you like sobbing if they did collab?
I'm like a ballad bitch. Like I love a good ballad.
Same way.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I always tell people this. If I'm not twerking, I'm sobbing.
Crying. Yeah.
Like there's no in between. And I'm like, if I'm not dancing my ass off, I'm literally just like sitting there contemplating my life choices.
Yeah.
And like listening to sad girl music.
Right.
But I don't know what it is. I feel like listening to ballads or like songs like that, it's like a time for me to reflect. So I listen to them often. But maybe that's why I'm a Sasha Fierce album
Yeah, because that was very like that had that whole
girl.
Side of just like ballads.
Broken-hearted girl, Ave Maria.
Ave Maria, Satellites. Wow.
Wow. So many bops.
Yeah.
Smash Into You. There was just so many bops on that album.
Incredible.
That were underappreciated because people need to listen to these sad songs.
What's your favorite Beyonce ballad?
Oh my gosh. Ballad? I'm probably gonna say 1+1.
Okay.
And then I love 1+1 is so good. But I love Smash Into You.
Oh, yes.
That one's slept on heavily.
Very.
But one of the songs that I just think of all the time is All Night from her Lemonade album.
Oh, one of my favorites. When she did it at the Tidal X1020, the live one.
Oh, with the band. When the freaking brass band is like playing, I was like, I need this version. Just
doing her runs
right now.
I have it. I literally have it in my Apple Music. I'll send it to you.
Okay. So I just appreciate songs like that. But what's funny is like All Night is kind of like a sad song. Mm-hmm. Like it starts off heartbroken.
Yeah.
Like she's going through it, but then they experience healing by the end of the song. And I remember when I was getting married, I told my wife about this song when Lemonade dropped, and we decided to dance to All Night as our first dance song. That. But we started it at like the halfway point when like all the healing was happening. But I loved it because I felt like that's what marriage is, though. It's like, we're going to go through some shit. We're going to experience a lot of these heavy things that we've never thought that we would experience together. Mm-hmm. But I was like, but at the end of it, you're still here. I'm still here. And that was just like, that was the song that I wanted my marriage to be. Yeah. To be like embraced by. And so that is just like a song that I think about all the time. So I would say like 1+1 is up there. All Night is up there. What about you?
I would say I'm obsessed with Dangerously in Love.
Oh, so good.
I need her to drop the live version of that song from Renaissance.
Oh, I Care. I forgot.
I Care. Also another one.
Needs to be up there.
And even if she just gave us the live album of just the first portion of the Renaissance tour, I would be so content because that was just like a whole nother experience.
Yeah. My goodness.
And yeah, I don't know. I've just always loved the ballads. Maybe I'm just a sad, depressed bitch.
No, I think we're just in our feels. We just know how to feel our feels.
Yeah.
And I think more people need to do that. So if anything, what you're going to get from this podcast episode is you're not a stan until you use your credit card for...
Until you're unemployed
and use your credit card
for 3 Beyonce concerts.
Unless you buy this expensive ass Balmain Beyonce merch.
That's the other thing. I feel like there's so many layers to like standing Beyonce. Like some people know all of her dances and all the choreography. Some people know every single designer who makes her costumes and like all of that. Some people know every single song, every lyric. Some people buy everything that she drops. Like there's so many different layers to like being a stan.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I just love it because you can meet so many different people.
Yeah. And hell, we are just meeting today.
Here we are.
Here we are. Beyonce stands here together, inviting you all to join the Beyhive and to not say that Halo is your number one Beyonce song.
Yeah. And don't tell me Beyonce is overrated. I don't want to see any comments. Nothing.
Actually, we're going to see hella comments about that when I post this episode, but we'll come for you.
We don't argue with ignorance. I'm sorry.
Are you a killer bee or are you a honey bee?
I'm like, don't give a shit what you have to say, bee. Like, you can ramble on forever about like all the things you don't like about Beyonce or like what you think about her. And I'm just like, okay.
Yeah. When people are like, Beyonce's overrated, I just look at them and I'm just like, what a sad life you're living.
Like,
what a sad
and it's
life.
always the people who literally think like Single Ladies is her only hit.
It's always the people
her, like,
who look
best
like
song.
their parents are related.
I didn't say it.
I'm just so happy that you're able to come on this episode so we could talk about just this woman that we adore for multiple reasons.
Yes.
And so you'll probably be seeing me and Oni at the next tour if she announces one.
We will be there. Don't ask me to get your tickets because I'm fighting for myself.
Period. So until next time, we will see you guys. Bye.